All right, guys. Well, hey, welcome to another Tech Tip Tuesday. Here we are approaching quickly the middle of April already. Hey, it's tax deadline for us in the US, right? So be careful. Get up on that. So welcome, everybody. And I am super excited to be joined by my amazing co-host, Freddie Perez. Hey, Freddie, how you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And all of you guys know him affectionately from the tech support hotline, which I love that. Jake is on vacation in a much more tropical place than where I am right now. So we'll let him have some space to celebrate with his loved ones. And we'll see him hopefully next week. But so Freddie and I are going to be doing our little magic. And then we have, I believe, do we have Taylor again this evening in the chat? I think that's.
I'm not sure which one of those special tech support. Oh, yes, it is.
Yes,
You just
it
put in
is.
there.
Hi, Taylor.
Hey, Taylor.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm so grateful for our customer service department. Everybody, man, give them a big woo woo. All right.
Yes, yes.
Thank you all very much for that. So let me tell you a little bit what we do here. If you guys are new, then let me tell you how it works. We are a chat-based forum in which we will take your questions from the chat, we'll bring them on the live call, and we will unpack them, dissect them, pull them apart, make them work, and then give you a solution, as well as Taylor in the background with the magic fingers answering things for us as well. So that's what we can do. What we can't do is treat, diagnose, prevent, or talk about any diseases. Okay, so we're not really doing that. We're talking about the technical aspects of Healy, whether it be the blue dot, the pink dot, some of the functionalities, operations, those kind of cool things, right? That make this such a cool technology. We're going to talk about all that fun stuff. So with that being said, I am a member, a Healy World member, just like most of you guys, and I bring my experience, knowledge, and expertise to the table. My background is in electronics engineering, epigenetics, as well as neuroscience. So, wow, hopefully I can give you guys some content that's going to be useful, okay?
Man, those accolades on the end there, Ken, that's awesome, brother.
So, these are just little stickers on the wall. It's like, when you're moving, they just wind up in a box anyway. So
yeah, but they're very important. So since we and thank you, Vernice, for posting that link there for the Magic Monday. I believe that's what it is there. Yeah, I think so. So I don't see we have questions popping in here. So I had a unique situation yesterday, Ken, and I wanted to get your feedback. So have an individual. They have Apple devices. They got a 13, they got an iPad, and then they have also a more newer Samsung phone. And they have been using virtually flawlessly their Residence Edition. They purchased a Pro, and when they went in, they loaded it up. Initially, everything loaded and was running fine. Then they didn't do anything except go to bed and wake up the next day and try to use it again. When they went to log in, it asked them to log in, right? Where you go to log in. And when they did, it put them in a sync mode. So when we went back and we discovered it was stuck at that 10%. Now, this particular person is a practitioner, had quite a few clients, had quite a few of the results, but they had initially left it in that sync mode for 6 to 8 hours, and it never moved from the 10%. So we went through some of the typical things that we would suggest, and they had reached out to support. They tried those solutions as well, and we could not, with all of that, get it to move off of the 10%. So I just wanted to bring that to the table and kind of open our discussion tonight and see what kind of feedback you may have for us.
Yeah, that's, that is one of the most common spots in which the synchronization process holds up. And that's because it's actually the first large block of content that winds up being interfaced within the master key, or I should say, not the master key, within the Healy cloud. So, it's an interesting condition where there's more than one thing that typically is a contributing factor to the halt or the slowdown, or even eventually the timeout and failure that winds up right there at that synchronization process. And I like what you said, because it's like, okay, it was working before on another resonance edition, but this particular one, this particular moment when it's downloading or synchronizing, it's interesting because the synchronization process is still linked to the same master key, right? It's so no matter if you have a resonance plus, a professional, anything with the Blue Dot app on it, it's still, you still have the same master key that accesses, or I should say bridges, the authentication between your cloud account, your Healy cloud account, which is AKA your entire Healy account, and the app and the subsequent Healy that's being utilizing the app. Okay, so where is the breakdown, right? Where's the breakdown? If it's the same master key, if it's the same cloud account, and it's the same app, where's the breakdown, right? Resonance versus Resonance Plus, which is folks, if you're brand new, the Resonance Plus is our brand new edition. Okay. Just want to make sure everybody knows that. And then the professional, where is the breakdown? And I think there's a couple, well, I know there's a couple. You mentioned you did some certain things. So in other words, we always take a look at what is our data stream portal or avenue. Are we on our cellular network data, our LTE or 5G or whatever? Are we on that? Or are we on the Wi-Fi? And then either one of those modalities have a defined bandwidth. And so what's our bandwidth like? At the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% is a smaller block of content being downloaded from the cloud, or I should say synchronized, because not just download, it's also upload. So it's two-way. But then at 10%, there's a big motherload block of content. So we were talking about clients and scans, lists, all that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff, and it's a checks and balance process where it looks at, okay, think about it. It's going to look in the cloud. Do I already have this content? And then it's going to look at the app, and do I have a matching record? And then we're going to synchronize them. So they're no longer on the app. In other words, it doesn't want to delete something or get rid of something until it verifies that that's present in the cloud. And this process is this handshake back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for every single client, for every single list. So think about that. If you've got, like, for instance, this particular person sounds like they have a lot of content, right? With it associated with their master key. So it's going to look at all of that. The more you have stored in the app that hasn't been synced, again, the longer that process. So you said that they did it, let it do that for like 6 or 8 hours. It just sit there and did that thing. Again, there's some breakdown in content delivery or handshaking.
Yeah, over 30 clients and several hundred results from in the list.
Yeah. So this is where the biggest challenges take place. And especially depending upon the timing in which somebody's doing this. Like, for instance, at the end of a promotion, because it's the same cloud account that is housing all of the sales, all of the uploads and downloads, and all of the data synchronizations. It's the same server. And at the end of a promotion, the access points. So in other words, the number of people that can access the cloud, it is finite, right? It's not infinite, it's finite. And so when you get hundreds and hundreds or thousands of people doing the same thing at the same time, you get a bottleneck. You get what's called a bandwidth bottleneck. And so everything just slows down, including sales. So people are failing when they're trying to close a deal, right? When they're trying to purchase product, all that's happening. And what just happened Saturday, Sunday, right? Just happened, just got to the end of a promotion that just happened. So if what they were doing was somewhere in that timeline, the traffic just gets extremely backed up. So
Yeah, that bottleneck can affect a lot of different aspects of the sales and of the syncing process. I just wanted to recognize Taylor. Thank you for that. I do have another appointment with this person Friday. I'll see if the results have changed. If not, then I might reach out to you and maybe figure out what those solutions might be that you're referring to there. But thank you so much for letting me know that.
yeah, the cool thing is these master in customer service, they have opportunity to be able to take a look at content. So I think we can, if they can have a master key in their hands, they can look at content and look at access with the account itself. If there's anything going on with the account, that's going to be another authentication block. But anyway, I want people to know that sometimes it's not just Healy, but we do have the exterior components of our data stream network, whatever that is, our LTE network, our cellular data stream, or Wi-Fi data streams. We've talked about that before. And then it just seems like, it's the new addition. Like it's got to be the professional. It's got to be this new addition that's causing the issue, because it was working fine on this one and not on this one. And yet you find out when you go back to try to log into the residence, it also does the same fail. So that's another thing to look at. If that's the case, then we're looking at something going on with the account, or something to do with the access at that particular time because of bandwidth load on the server.
And this was Monday, so there was a heavy amount of traffic, and then plus they had some maintenance going on, so there were a lot of different potential variables there too. So
yeah, so we just went through this update Monday morning. Well, Monday morning's European time, which would have been like middle of the night, depends on where you are. But yeah, they just changed, so the back office would reflect the new edition, the new Resonance Plus. And so this kind of stuff that's going on does influence the server and its performance. So yeah, I mean, I always tell people, look, you know what, let's just take a break for 48 hours and see what happens, and come and revisit this, especially when we've tried everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What do we have here?
So we have the next question about the Pink app. It's not showing my subscriptions on the iPad, but it does on the iPhone. I think it's an iPhone. So what could be causing that? Everything updated the Healy apps on the iPad.
Let's see. What was the question again? I'm missing it.
Yeah, it's up at the top. It says my Pink app is not showing my subscriptions on my iPad, but it does on my phone. I've updated all Healy apps on my iPad. What's happening?
Okay. Yeah. And this has been an inherent issue with an iPad. Now, the iPad and the iPhone, they are two different operating systems that interface with the apps differently. They literally do. There just are some different settings. So the iPad, originally the software was written for an iPhone, or I should say a smartphone, and then the iPad was added later. One of the most important things is making sure that the iPad, some of the older iPads, just didn't run the high enough level of operating system, right? So 11.0 is the minimum operating system. I have an iPad it's a 10.3 is the max it'll run. That's its operating system. And funny enough, it actually runs the pink dot. It won't run the blue dot, but it will run the pink dot. But still, 11 is the max. Secondly, how much content is on that iPad? In other words, how much memory is available to the processor, the CPU on the iPad? No others. People use their iPads for a lot because they're bigger. You can see more. So it's a really great idea to have all your pictures on there. Well, guess what? That consumes a lot of memory. So the rule of thumb is that your device, your smart device, whether it's a phone or a tablet or iPad, whatever it is, that you have not consumed more than 75% of the max memory capability of the device. Because the moment you go past that threshold, everything's going to slow down. and it's going to slow down because the memory available for the CPU to do its work, it requires some of that memory, by the way, folks. Some of that memory that you might have your pictures on, the CPU uses it to put things while it's going and doing something else, comes back and grabs this thing out of the memory and does this other thing. It's back and forth with this memory. So it uses that. All right. So it's important that you understand that there's enough resource available to do the job. So number one, what is the operating system of that iPad? Is it above 11.0? Number two, what is the memory resources available to that iPad? And then I've had a couple that are just challenges, making sure your software is totally up to date. All right. So check those things when we can go from there. All right. Let's see. Got one here. It says a client claims that each time she starts her Pink Dot app, she gets a pop-up asking her to select USA and answer a question about whether she wants to buy something. Interesting. So when you start the Pink Dot app, okay, the first thing that should pop up is a disclaimer. If the system is, no matter what, there's a disclaimer. So if that's not happening, then you need to delete that app because there's something wrong with it. I don't know what kind of command is being written in there, but that should not be happening. So number one, when you first open your app, it should have a disclaimer, and then it must require you to click next in order to move on to the next function. All right. The next function it's going to ask you is there'll be a tab at the bottom that says, I have a Healy. Or below that, in a more subdued text, is I am interested in a Healy. If you click on I have a Healy, perfect. Now you're staying within the app. If you click on that you want a Healy, it's going to take you to a sales site. That's what it's supposed to do because you don't have a Healy. Okay. Next.
So Taylor's done a great job in responding to some of these questions as well.
Okay. Let's see. I love this question. I hear this a lot, and I'd love to cover this for a minute. It's kind of a statement about the coil, or asking about the coil itself. So when using the coil, what's the most efficient or effective intensity to use? In the Healy manual, it says somewhere between 30 and 100%. But I've seen several videos and it states that it should be set to 100% for the most effectiveness. Now, let me, I don't know if anybody go back into maybe science class. Have you ever taken a nail, wrapped it with a coil of copper wire, and then put a battery on each side of that wire? And maybe it's like a flashlight battery, right? And then it charges the nail, or it seems like the nail all of a sudden becomes a magnet, right? Anybody ever done that experiment? Well, that's actually how you can create a magnetic field. Because what's happening is that coil of wire you've wrapped around the nail, and then you have the other two ends, and you touch it to the battery. The battery is giving electron flow through that coil of wire. And anytime you have electron flow, the electron flow has an associated magnetic field that it emits from the environment of that electron flow. And what's happening with that nail is that magnetic field is being transmitted into the nail, into the metal of the nail, and magnetizing it, so that you can actually use that as it's called electromagnet. So the higher the voltage of the battery, so in other words, if the battery is almost dead, so again, you have a flashlight battery and it's like almost dead because you just decided to do this experiment, you pulled it out of your flashlight you've been using for months, and the battery's got barely anything in it. All right, well, when you try this experiment, that magnetic field is going to be extremely low because the battery voltage, the amount of potential electron flow through that wire, is very low. So the field will have a very low amplitude or low intensity. It'll pick up something, but it'll be very little power. So with the coil, the higher you adjust the intensity, the more amplitude of that magnetic field. Okay. What's amplitude mean? Amplitude simply means the range in which it will transmit. I mean, really, and the strength of its content. So the magnetic field that Healy is emitting with the coil, when it's at 100%, it's going to go further and have a stronger influence on its environment. Okay, like it's going to pick up a heavier or a bigger group of paper clips in the case of that magnetic electromagnetic nail. So in this case, with the Healy, it's the magnetic field is pulsating or oscillating at the frequencies of the program and operating within the purpose of this program. If you're running mental balance, those frequencies are associated with mental balance. If you're running coherence, same. And the intensity simply increases the range and the amplitude of the signal. In other words, the increased infusion within the environment. And if you have the Healy on your collar, you're going to get a stronger signal. Now, nothing wrong with going to 100%. Nothing wrong with going down to 15%. What you want to make sure you're understanding is that you are the measuring stick. You've got to be the measuring stick. And if some people are very susceptible to energy, and they're going to feel it. Now, you may not feel it right then, but you may burst into tears later because you were just doing some mental balance that was clearing you of some obstruction. And all of a sudden, there goes the waterworks, right? It flows all of a sudden because of what was you. And you're going, what the heck's wrong? What happened, right? Well, it's because the program was doing its job, and you had it pretty intense. So measure yourself, watch yourself, engage with your body. And also the other side effect, I don't know if it's a side effect, the other understanding, when you have a higher intensity, you're going to drain the battery faster on the Healy, right? The Healy battery is going to be doing more work at a higher 100% amplitude or intensity versus down there at 20 or 30. You can run it below 30, by the way, folks. You can run it below 30. I mean, the current flow is still there through the coil, still creating a magnetic field. It's just going to have a shorter range. So, all right. Now, and then, shorter range, again, anytime you create a magnetic field, its infinite range is I mean, it has an infinite range, just like a butterfly effect in one region of the planet adjusts weather patterns in another region of a butterfly wings, right? Because we're in a closed loop system. So in the universe, energy is everywhere. And so even a small amount of current flow into that coil is going to have an effect. All right.
So Ken, I went back up to the top, and there was a question I think we may have bypassed. I don't think we answered this one. In the Blue Dot app, the program is called Stimulation. In the Pink Dot app, it's called Pain and Stimulation. Are they the same?
It's a great question. And the answer is yes. Yes. And interestingly enough, I mean, in the US, we have these compliance rules where those stimulation programs, this is why they're called stimulation instead of pain, is because it's interesting, because Healy was designed as a class 2 medical device for the effects of discomfort and pain, right? That was its design. But compliance is, we're still trying to make our way in this world. Healy is trying to make its way in this world, and it's being cautious. And I don't blame Healy. We want to be able to keep doing what we're doing and not have some regulation system, some regulatory authority come in and shut us down, right? So we want to be compliant. It's better to be safe than sorry. So they're going to be called Stimulation. Within the Blue Dot app, if you actually, when you go to that database called Pain Stimulation, and the little icon, the blue icon on the far right, if you click on that, it'll expand the names of those. Well, and you'll see that it's very coherent with what your Pink Dot says. Roman numerals, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
So Linda's, I think there's a couple of questions in here coming in from Linda. Why do we never see 40 hertz on any of the programs? Question one. And then a part of a statement in here, 40 is for inflammation and is used extensively by Dr. Carol McMakin. And then I think the other part of that is maybe, do we know a pricing yet for the Mag Healy? So I kind of maybe three different pieces in there.
Well, you're right. 40 hertz is one of the base frequencies that Dr. Carolyn McMakin uses in terms of inflammation. And so I would say the most relative answer to that is the resonance capability of Healy. If your body doesn't need 40 hertz, it's not going to resonate. It's not going to pick it out of the group. Even though you're working on inflammation, because if we're just treating the tissue, Healy doesn't just treat the tissue. It looks at the issue, right? And it's working from that. It's reverse engineering from the issue into the body's condition. So it's a multiple fold system. It's not singular. And so I would say watch closer, because I'll bet you will see 40 hertz pop up every now and then, but it's only going to be for 8 seconds because then it changes the next frequency. So you've got to sit and watch every time, all the time, and whatever program you're running, and see what shows up, because it will only be for actually 8 to 10 seconds. It's going to be very short.
And I don't believe there's been a price disclosed on that Mag Healy yet, has there?
Nope. We're still all chomping at the bit. Let's hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's still it's a teaser. We get the teaser kind of thing, and then everybody's like, "Well, I want more." Well, that's why it's called a teaser. That's all we get.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. So Susan says, I don't know if this has already been answered, but Pink app is not showing my subscriptions on my oh, we already talked about that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, I'm behind. Sorry, guys. I'm catching up. Let's see. I have upgraded 7 months ago. Professional. Well, I have one here. Says you missed my question before. In the Blue Dot app, the program called Stimulation. Okay, we just answered that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're kind of below where that Mag Healy question. So the next one here I see is I have 3 grandfather residents and purchase Power of 3 program on all of them. However, they were all gone on my iPads and iPhones since last week. I was required to re-enter my email and master keys for them. And after reset them, I still don't see my Power of 3 in my Pink Dot. How can I resolve this issue? Well, I think there's a couple of things there. One, don't quite understand why there was a need to do a reset. If I'm understanding you, reset the cloud on those 3 devices. But then the question would be, did you go back into the Pink Dot and actually go in and check for updates after you perform the resets? The other question is, on the iPads and the iPhones, did you do any other troubleshooting? Did you turn the Bluetooth off? Did you delete the apps? Did you, power down your smart devices? Did you bring them back up and perform these? Or wherever you were at that point, did you do this work? Because those variables do make a difference, right? And one of the things that I would say, look, unless you have some other suggestions here, This may be because we're talking about 3 different grandfather devices, and we're talking iPads and iPhones here. This may be something you maybe want to look at to schedule appointment with me. That way we can dissect it on a more, you know, where we have more time for one issue where we can deal with all 3. And you just do that by going to HealySupport.com. But what are your thoughts on there, Ken?
Yeah, no, I agree. It does take time to unpack. And here's why, because when you have multiple Healys and multiple smart devices, when you take one Healy and you connect it to a smart device, AKA the app, there's this handshake tie-in between the app and the Healy. Okay. And there's information that is transferred between those 2 entities, so that the next time you go to, maybe that Healy runs out of power and you have to charge it, turn it off, you shut down the app. The next time you go to re-engage that Healy, the content's already there and you can just kick right back on. But if you're using multiple Healys and multiple devices, those handshakes are unique, and you're going to have to reestablish them. I mean, there's too many variables here to actually say, why one device might be working with this Healy and this device not working. There's a lot of variables here. Healy creates, I want you guys to understand something. There's a reason that this handshaking process goes on. It's for your safety. It's for your safety. And I'm going to tell you what I find the most troublesome in people's actions with Healy is sequencing. They're forgetting the sequence in which this needs to function. The handshaking process can only work properly if the sequence is initiated properly. What's the sequence? Well, number one, turn off all the other apps in the background. Just give your device the most all the resources it needs. Turn off all the other apps in the background. And when I say turn off, I don't mean just flip the screen. I mean hard close them in the background. And if you don't know how to do that, go to YouTube and search hard close an app on my Android or on my iPhone or whatever. Go in there and find out how to do it, because you need to know how to do this. This is very important. So number one, hard close all the apps that are running in the background. Number two, turn the Healy on first. Big rule of thumb here, folks. Turn the Healy on first and then open the app, because the Bluetooth signal, when you turn the Healy on, it starts to send an invisible Bluetooth search for the app, not for a device specifically, for the app. Okay, it's looking for the Healy app. This is a very secure connection. So Healy sends out this Bluetooth signal. It's invisible. You can't see it, but the Healy's on. The green light's flashing. That's how you know it's on. Then you open the app, and the app sends a, hey, how you doing, Healy? Signal back to it. And then you see the Bluetooth light engaged. Now they're handshaking, right? This is a secure process. So if you did the other way around, you turn on the app, it's starting to say, hey, Healy. Well, wait, there's no Healy out there. And it actually stops the signaling process. It says, oh, no Healy, goodbye. And you turn the Healy on, app's still open, but it's not looking anymore. You got me? You follow that? So you have to turn the app off, turn it back on, then it starts looking again. So it's a process, folks. Just if you do that sequencing, you're going to be much happier. Okay.
So we have a master key question here. Should we periodically back up our master key? I had glitches during the last update, and my master key doesn't work anymore. I'm working with support. Excellent. Right. Glad to hear you're working with support on the issue. And I'm just wondering if it's a good idea to back up since mine got corrupted. Well, the good news is don't back up corrupted master key, right? You don't need to worry about that. And but then engine two, look, when you either have that master key, if support is able to figure out the issue and let's say it's not corrupted, still usable, definitely I would make sure you back it up. And to back it up, that's a pretty simple process. When you open up your blue dot, go to that little bottom right cogwheel, that's the settings button, go into your cloud settings. About midway down on that page, it says backup master key. When you tap that open, it's going to say save master key. And then you're going to have choices. So when you look on the horizontal line, right, you're going to have choices like a mail, and that's what you're looking for, a mail icon. When you tap that open, it's going to open up to whatever mail server you're using. For example, on your phone, it's going to instantly populate the master key folder, and then you'll want to send it to yourself. That will serve as a backup in that email. And I always suggest on the subject line, whenever you do that, whether it's brand new, you're just activating, or in a situation like this when you're going to back it up, is on that subject line, put something like my master key and date stamp it, right? So today would be, 4.12.22. That way, if you ever have to retrieve it, when you go back into that email service, let's say it's a Gmail account, you can search in there, right? So it'll pull up that file really quick. And then at that point, you'll be able to take that file, save it to the hard drive or to a folder, if you will, in your iCloud if it's a phone, into your G Cloud if it's an Android. Now it's discoverable when you tap import the master key if you get to that point. So when it's discoverable, now it's going to be recognized that you have the access into your blue dot. So hopefully that helps.
There's a process to this, and that process, again, the app is very specific in its nature. It's not going to look for a JPEG file, right? It's going to look for a .json file. This is how programs interface with very specific files, because they have an extension that they identify with. So, and then of course, keeping your master key off site, when I'm like Freddie's talking about, you keep it on your device in a hard drive or in a file, but off site would be in your email. And I know, but you can see your email on your phone. It's on site. No, it's not, because your email account is another server somewhere out there in the universe. Okay. You're just viewing it from your smart device. That's all. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
And one more little side note on saving the master key. It won't be retrievable if you save it like in notes. It's not going to be able to retrieve it there. So don't save it in the notes. Okay. But other locations like a Dropbox, you can, right? But notes it won't, because I've had a lot of people, well, I saved it to my notes. We just, that's great you did, but we're not going to be able to retrieve it from your notes.
Yeah. Here's a great question here. And by the way, you won't be able to retrieve it from your text messages or,
Yeah, yes.
that either. It's very specific in where it's going to look. So here's a question here, and we have talked about this on other Tech Tip Tuesdays calls, as well as other resources. But the question is about saying that the tail, and this is within the pink dot, or the indicator, black-white indicator, talking about current flow with the microcurrent, turns black at the lower frequencies. So understand that the lower the frequency, the closer to density. What does that mean? That means that density, aka matter, the body, the table, the chair you're sitting at, whatever, it has a very slow vibration rate. And so in order to get energy through that, it needs more power. And so when you have frequencies that are lower in frequencies, typically below about 500 hertz, depending on the person, 400 to 500 hertz, below that, then it takes more power to get that to go through the body. And so you're going to see that when Healy is cycling through specific frequencies based on the purpose of your program, when those frequencies drop, when you see it on your screen, like, you're running 120 hertz, and all of a sudden the indicator goes black. That's because it needs to be boosted a little bit to get through the body. Now, sometimes people are running it at very low intensity. If you're running it at 15%, 20%, you just bump it up a little bit until it goes to white. Does that mean that you have to sit there and go up and down, up and down, up and down? Not necessarily. what I usually recommend first is to check your body first. Check your body. In other words, making sure that there's some sort of assistance in conductivity between the strap and your skin, aka you've moistened it, you've got it wet. Maybe you're using some conductive gel. You could even use a little cotton ball that you've gotten white or wet and tuck it in between the skin and the strap. That's another method in which you can increase conductivity. But even when you do that and you still have a black line, what about your own hydration? What about your own body's conductivity? This is another very important aspect, to make sure that your hydration is high enough within your body so that there's good current flow, not just water, but electrolytes. The minerals in our body are just as important as the water content. So keeping that high. And I get this question all the time as a performance coach in fitness and with athletes. You know, the proper hydration, minimal proper hydration is half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you're 100 pounds, that's 50 ounces per day, right? If you're more active, it goes up. If you're in drier climates, it goes up. If our body's carrying extra body weight, it goes up. So I'm just talking about the baseline. So check yourself and find out. All right. So don't be afraid of increasing the intensity. Just pay attention to your body. If you're feeling some kind of pulsations or you're feeling some discomforts because of the current flow in your body, that's when you need to turn it down. You shouldn't actually feel it or shouldn't be uncomfortable. Just be interactive with the system. You'll find your balance point.
I wanted to thank Marjorie and Trudy. They've been kind of going back and forth with some of their experiences. And ladies, I get this quite often as well. And what I'm referring to is either a customer or a member, for some reason, they're unable to log into their shop account where they can go in to the support and put in a new case or a ticket. And so, yes, they can have, let's say, their upline that does have access, go in and put that in on their behalf. But as was mentioned here, they want to give as much information to support so that they can realize that, we'll say, Jane is unable to log in because of what reason. For example, it's not accepting her email. It's not accepting the username. Okay, because if it's not, and you'll get the message right above there, it indicates what that issue is, because you can change the password, right? But if your email and your username are not being accepted, then the probability is pretty high that if that email isn't being recognized, then to reset the password that would go to that email isn't really going to be the issue, and you may not get it. So put as much detail as you can in there, and then support will help you to get that fixed, on top of addressing whatever that issue is besides just logging in, right? So yep. Again, thanks, ladies, for bringing that to the table tonight.
Sometimes it is a little trial and error, you know, that and customer service has to reset your account so you can and send you a login portal so you can actually get back into your account. I mean, that's another definitely a possibility. So let's see, back to my hydration question. There's a follow-up saying that, that they drink quite a bit of water, about a gallon, and they're 112 pounds. So keep track of the amount of water you're drinking, because we can flush certain water solubles if we're drinking too much water. So I recommend starting at a baseline, but of course, if you are active and you feel like, that intake is necessary, great. But, a gallon of water is quite a bit. And if that's meeting your physical activity, then great. But also keeping those electrolytes high. Look at a good electrolyte regimen. And then in the morning, this is another statement here. It is in the morning where we are dehydrated. When you wake up in the morning, the mother lode of your repair, recovery, and growth happens in your sleep. right? And the biggest part of it happens between about midnight and 2 a.m. This is part of the circadian rhythm, wherever you are, that your body's actually rebuilding itself. And the conscious mind is out of the way so that it can do it more efficiently. Like Ken's out of the way. He's not bothering us, so we can get this body back in shape here. And that's happening while your conscious mind is away. So by the time you get up in the morning, you're two things: dehydrated, malnourished. I mean, your body just got done using all of its resources, right, to get you back in good shape. And so, yeah. So the first thing when you wake up in the morning, any kind of elimination process is first, and then start with an 8-ounce glass of water, or even 16, before you even really get started doing anything. You'll see your energy levels go up, your cognitive skills improve, just because you've done that one step, right? And then maybe run your Healy, but give your body time to actually get started. Don't just roll out of bed, kick on the Healy and start bumping it. Give it a little time. All right. What else we got? Let's see.
Oh, there's another kind of a question here. My HealAdvisor programs and search are grayed out, and I cannot use my HealAdvisor. Well, the reason why they're grayed out is because those are subscription based. So if you have purchased a subscription, go back into your shop account, go into your orders and subscriptions, and make sure that they're showing up there and that they're active. Once they are active, then they'll go from that grayed out to a more colorized version. And then that's when you'll have access. And I think there was a question regarding that. So something similar. Well, no, it was the purchase to watch. And is there a monthly fee to use the watch app? I believe that's a subscription base as well on the watch app. And you do have to, so you do have to have that watch app to set up all the functionalities of the watch.
Yeah, the watch will still work as a smartwatch and interface with your phone. Show your texts, and you can control your music. You can do, everything a smartwatch will do. It's just in order for what's called the Watch Connect app to interface with Healy, it's a subscription-based system. Okay, so so you'll be required to purchase that, and then that unlocks all kinds of capabilities with the watch. The biorhythmic content, so the measurements that the watch is taking of your body, are then uploaded into the app, and then that information is used within the HealAdvisor for all kinds of recommendations that interact and interface on that HealAdvisor. So it's used in many different ways. It's a pretty cool system. It's like having your own coach, for nutrition, for rest cycles. I'm one of the most important things. I think there are four main sufferings that the U.S. or humans in general, U.S. a lot, suffer from. Number one is pain, right? Pain is what is probably one of the biggest complaints people have. And number two is sleep, and so there's issues with sleep. And there's number three has to do with stress, right? So sleep and stress are like this, they're connected. As our stress levels go up, the ability for the body to shut down and feel safe to rest goes down. So when we stay in that sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight mechanism, the natural hormones to help suppress thought, melatonin, and to help relax the body to sleep are down regulated. And so we may doze off for a minute, but then wake right up. I mean, think about it. If you don't feel safe in your life, that's going to happen. And the watch helps to monitor some of those things. And it even helps us to understand which programs to run to improve our stress response. So that's a great feature to have that watch.
Here's another little watch question. Was the Watch Connect app free for original owners of the watch? I don't believe that it was free. I think there was a promotion where there was a 90 days where you had that the Watch Connect app was free for the 90 days, but to continue, you had to subscribe to it.
Yeah, that's correct. There was a bundle when you would buy the Healy Watch Connect bundle. This is not available anymore, but it was, and you would get a 90-day. You got the watch, you got the app, and you got a 90-day subscription to the Watch Connect, and it was fabulous to give it a test drive, right?
Mhm.
Yep. All right. What else we got? I love what Izzy was saying here, that, we're talking about the hydration thing, and some people want to run the Healy first thing, to set the mood, set the tone. And so again, this is where you're going to have that influence of the dehydration issue and the challenges in terms of being able to get that current flow through the body. So yeah, give yourself time to hydrate. Remember, there are two windows in which our conscious mind is closest to the subconscious mind. And this is the morning when we are moving or transitioning from theta all the way through alpha and into the beta, or the analytical mind. This window is just when you become aware, that you were sleeping, right? You're just become aware that you are a body in space and time. This is a sweet spot. And I would invite all of you to sit in that moment. Now, if you're waking up to an alarm, well, sorry, that's the shock factor. It's like, it's really hard to enjoy that moment of transition when the alarm's going, it's like, it's really tough. But you can shut it down and maybe see if you can be aware of this transition point. The other time is in the evening when you're transitioning out of wake into sleep. Try to remember when you fell asleep. So these are 2 points. Try to remember when you woke up. Try to remember when you fell asleep, and just work on enjoying those moments. This is the moment in which the subconscious and conscious are actually, the window is open between the two, and you can make suggestions there. What are the suggestions? My mood, right? I am grateful for my life. I'm enjoying this present moment. I have plenty to live for. I am in love with life. Whatever it is, make your adjustments right there. Then it doesn't matter what your hydration is. It doesn't matter if your Healy's connected. You've already set the stage. Does that make sense? I love your alarm. Yeah, the cow bouncing around on me. Hey, wake up. Our pets are so lovely. All right.
Yeah, that was such a valid point you just made about, setting that mind intention when you wake up or coming out of that sleep mode, because so many times I would start thinking about my day and, let's just call it the complexities of what I knew was going to be on my menu. And when I stopped thinking about that, got up, did a little stretching. Some of you know me, I'm a big boy, and I consume between 128 and 160 ounces of water a day, especially all the talking to do, right? But when I go walking, the first thing I do is I try to clear my mind, and I drink about 16 ounces of water, because prior to that, I would go do my walk, come back, and then I jump on the Healy. I would get so dried out. It was like, I would just pound 32 ounces so quick. And so now I've learned exactly what Ken is sharing with us here. It all starts in the mind and setting up that intention. That helps to, and I don't know what it is, but it does something to my body where it starts changing from my mind and go all the way through, so I don't have the same effects. And that's huge for me.
Yep. That's that process that I was talking about of down regulating the stress response. When you're thirsty or you're any kind of uncomfortable, whether you're thirsty, whether you are feeling embarrassed, or whether you're feeling whatever the attention is to the discomfort, this puts on the stress response. This is normal though. And our body is designed to handle short periods of time within that stress response. but usually we elongate it. We remember how upset we were. We continue to rehearse these conditions, and they just elongate over a longer period of time. So the body's ability to heal is downregulated. This is what's important, staying out of that stress response. So Susan asks, is the watch app accurate recording deep sleep? Yeah, pretty accurate. I mean, it's got a dual sensor system, which is just as accurate as any other system that's monitoring that activity. Wearing the watch in a proper fashion is key. Making sure that the firmware is current and up to date, which that's done through the app. But yeah, they're pretty accurate. I know I'm in a study right now, so I'm actually wearing, I usually don't wear a watch, but now I got too many. But it's another monitoring system, and it's measuring my biorhythmic content. And then there's an app that I'm interfacing with. And I've been watching through meditation, through my mindful practices, the amount of time that my body is in rest phase. It measures that, HRV, it's measuring that. And it knows when I am in this HRV state or in a good state of rest. And during my waking hours, so here's what's really fun. I've been watching the increase as I'm starting to use my Healy, as I'm doing some of the other practices. I've moved the amount of time in my waking day from less than 8 hours in the rest cycle to my new number that just came up yesterday, 15 hours, 28 minutes in rest cycle. Now, remember, this is in rest and digest. This is in the repair, recovery, and growth cycle of my body, right? While I'm driving, while I'm on Zoom calls with you guys, while I'm, this is important to measure. These measuring sticks help us understand what it feels like to be in those moments. All right.
So Sharda was asking, I know we're getting here to the bewitching hour, right? So Sharda's asking, do we have a clue if the new watch is going to be introduced at the homecoming next week? Ken. Shh. Okay, right? That's a shh. All right. So then the Mary put in here, can we expect our name to be added to our referral link, and will that replace our number? Well, I don't know, Ken. I heard that it's not going to replace the number, but the name is going to be added to it, so it's going to be easily identified at that point.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, guys, you can go into your back office, members. You can go in your back office. You can take a look at the list at the bottom of the page, the things that corporate is working on, the percentage in which it's complete, right, and then the things that are upcoming. And you'll see some of the content that is working on. So those are questions that are answered right there. If you'll see that it's on the list, being able to show your name within that referral link, it's coming. There's because we're a global company, there is compliance issues in other countries where showing that content is not compliant. I know, but we're in the US. It's compliant here. We're getting there. Okay. I think, well, we're at 6 o'clock. I know we started a couple minutes after the hour, but do we want to do a little speed round here? Let's see.
Yeah, I think we pretty much, there's a couple of things here at the end. And thank you, Taylor, again. I know you requested a bunch of those PMs, and man, yeah, I know Taylor is awesome. Had the privilege of working with her in the past as well. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, I'm sorry if we missed your question, if we didn't unpack it completely, if we didn't find the solution. We're going to be here every week. So please see us again next week. And as Freddie said, make an appointment with him and be able to get another period of time. We just keep building more and more tools to support you. And that's what lights up my heart. So thank you again for being here. Freddie, thank you so much for your brilliance and assistance. Taylor, you rock the world. I'm just saying it right now so the world sees it and hears it, and it's going to be on this recording forever.
Yes.
So
he is a Healy rock star, that's for sure.
All right, everybody. Have a great evening, a great rest of your week. Tune in tomorrow. I want to make sure I stress this. Tune in tomorrow to What's Up Wednesday, because we're going to have Nuno Nina presenting on the natural cycle. Okay, so tune in tomorrow. Tell everybody to be on there, because we're not sure if we're going to be recorded or not. I'm just saying. So if you don't catch it live, you may not catch it at all. So tune in tomorrow. This is our What's Up Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. That is 1 p.m. Eastern. And I'll see you then. All right. Love you guys.
Thanks, Ken. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate